welcome back to my past life as a flight attendant, to a couple more stories, but first you probably noticed something a little bit different in the background. Over there. We got a fish tank, and we have a couple clownfish in there, and a big eye cardinal, and we love them. They're part of the family now. The cats sometimes like to watch them as well, but there's a lid, so they can't get into the fish tank, which is a benefit for everybody. So today I am going to talk about stupid things people have told me on a plane. I have two stories, and then I'm going to end with the stupidest thing I've said on a plane. But during the first story, I was working the flight, and I was in the back of a cart, working the back of the cart. So when the smoke alarm started going off in the back of the airplane, I was the one who had to run back there. And when I say run back there, I meant run back there, because if there's a fire on an airplane, you want to get it out really quickly, because as you can imagine, like, you can't just run out of the building. So I ran back to that back lavatory. The door was closed. I'm knocking on the door to see if somebody's in there. Are you okay? Is someone in there? And I hear, just a minute. And then this girl opens the door. She's probably low 20s. And she opens the door and she goes, "I didn't do it." And I was like, "Do what? Are you okay? Is there fire anywhere?" I'm like, she goes, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." And I was like, "You seem really guilty for somebody who's claiming innocence." Didn't say that. But I go, "Do you mind if I check in here for some hot spots just to see if there's any fire?" She goes, "Oh, okay." So she gets out. I'm checking around. Really, I was at this point looking for a used cigarette, but I didn't find it. I did check though, and I'm also, feeling for some hot spots around, and didn't find it in the garbage can. And I go, okay, at this point, I started waving, the smoke detector stops going off. There wasn't any visible smoke. I didn't smell any smoke, but obviously something was going on. And she knew about it. Whatever it was, she knew. So she goes back in there. I go back to the cart. Just a few minutes later, I hear it again. The smoke alarm's going off. Same lavatory. And this time I go back to the lavatory, knock on the door. Same gal is in the door. And she opens it and she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on." And I'm like, Are you sure you're not smoking in there or anything? And she goes, No. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try to air it out or something. You sure nothing's going on? I'm like, okay, well, she goes, well, I wasn't smoking. But she's like, I did do something wrong. And I was like, what'd you do? She goes, my aunt, she told me not to do it, and she's told me not to do it before, and I did it. And I'm thinking, what did she do? She goes, I flushed a tampon down the toilet. And I was like, she's like, would that have done that? No, that's just going to clog up our septic system. But, thank you for confessing. I hope you feel better. Anyway, like, no, that wouldn't have done it. But, yeah, don't do that, though. That will clog up the system. And so she apologized profusely, went back to her seat, didn't use the lavatory again. Mind you, a lot of people were using that lavatory, in and out, in and out. The smoke alarm never went off again. So crazy. So, don't know what actually happened in that lavatory, but she was the common denominator. That's all I have to say. The second story I'm going to tell is also on a plane, obviously. Anyway, it was during the descent. I'm doing final compliance checks, going row by row, just making sure everyone's got everything put away. You got your seatbelt on. You're ready for landing. We're good to go. Everybody's safe. Okay, so walking through just your normal run-of-the-mill, I look to my right, and this man who was kind of rougher around the edges looking, he had like the really big baggy pants and that were really low, and on one of his jeans he has a joint that he's rolling. And then the other leg, he has a lighter. And I go, whoa, we can't smoke on a plane. No smoking on the plane. And because I was really concerned at that moment. And he just looks at me kind of nonchalant, doesn't say a word. And I was like, I'm sorry, sir, but you're going to have to wait. You can't even do that in the airport. You're going to have to, or on the tarmac, you got to wait till you're well outside the airport. We got a lot of jet fuel going around here. You can't smoke that. And he was kind of like, I'm like, okay, he's not really responding really well. So I'm like, is he on something? Like, I'm trying to get him to talk, like have a conversation with me. He was not responding. So at this point, sometimes if somebody doesn't respond well to you, I will get somebody, if there is another flight attendant who is of the opposite gender, sometimes that helps with situations. It helps with de-escalation and stuff. And in this case, I was like, maybe he'll respond better to a guy. And I had a guy flight attendant. So went back and got him to come and told him what happened. And the gentleman was then talking to him, but he really seemed like he was maybe on something, and maybe some sedatives were mixed in, and we were concerned for him. So we asked him where he's going. He goes to Chicago, and we're like, okay. And well, when we were landing at this point though, because, oh, this is the other thing. By the time the other flight attendant gets to his row that I had already told him he can't smoke on a plane, the guy has the joint in his mouth. It wasn't lit, but it was in his mouth. And he didn't leave the row until the guy pulled it out of his mouth. But the other ladies in his row were looking very concerned. Anyway, when we landed, we had medical meet the plane just to make sure that he was okay, especially since I knew he had another flight he had to go to. We can't let somebody who's intoxicated onto a plane, or if he's on drugs and stuff, he needs to meet a criteria that he's safe to fly. So we landed, everybody got off the plane, and he got up to get off the plane, and we're like, sorry, sir, we have a medical meeting the plane to kind of, see how you're doing, if you're doing okay? And he sat back down, which was good because you could see almost all of his boxers when he got up. That is how low those pants were. Will not forget. I don't think I've ever seen such low riders before. Anyway, so the medical meets the plane and has a conversation with him, and it turns out that he thinks he's going to Chicago, but his boarding pass said he's going to Kentucky. I don't know what they decided, but I'm pretty sure he didn't get on his next plane. So, and I'm hoping he got some sort of help. But that was the end of that. Just, I guess he didn't really say much, anything stupid, but the fact that he was getting a joint ready on a plane, that's pretty stupid. So we'll just go with that. Stupidest thing I've said on a plane, okay? Stupidest thing I have said. It was early on, and it was after many legs in a day. I can't remember. It was back at a regional when we had 5-6 leg days. I was so excited. We're almost done with the day, and I feel the plane start to descend, and I go, yes, we're going down. Everybody in the aisle looks at me from the aisle like, oh! I'm like, no, we're descending. We're going to land. We're going to land. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining with me again, and come back for more stories. Bye.